Yay! So welcome back, everyone. So for those of you that should know by now, because Oregon's going to be kind of like down the line and releasing, but this is my top 25 college football series where I am talking to 25 different representatives of their teams. We have fans, we have content creators, we have people that report on the team. We have a magnitude of like different types of people. And so that is what we're here for. So for those of you that don't know yet, if this is your very first episode, these episodes will release by the order of my top 25. So on August 1st, it will be number 25, and then August 2nd, and then we're going to work our way down all the way to August 25th. So just keeps it fun and keeps it interesting. So I am excited to talk to you. I also like to say, whenever I'm talking to somebody new, I like to tell people I'm talking to people new because I don't think we talk to new people enough. So that is what we're doing here. So obviously we're here to talk about Oregon, and I will let my guest introduce herself, whatever you want to tell us. Most people just start with like how they become a fan, how long you've been a fan, how obsessed you are with Oregon, all of the things that you want to say, whatever you're comfortable with, we are all ears.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Emily, and I have been a fan since I was about 6 or 7 years old. My grandparents, who I was really close with, they ended up moving from California to Oregon, and it kind of became this thing that we bonded over, and it was something that kind of kept us close. And then I happen to have a mother who is incredibly into college sports, so she was very encouraging of it. And so it really started from a young age, and I have been basically obsessed with it ever since. That was like my thing growing up. I was obsessed with Oregon Ducks and college sports in general. So yeah.
Awesome. Was it the color or anything? Because I know a lot of people have told me like, I didn't know what the school was. I just loved the school colors. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
I think the colors were appealing. Green has always been one of my favorite colors. So that was probably appealing to a young child. But really, it was just the enthusiasm and excitement that my family just created along with going to games and kind of experiencing these things together like that. Those relational bonds were huge in terms of me becoming a fan from a really young age.
Okay. So what is it like being an Oregon fan? Like, what are you looking for as you enter the season? You all were in a new conference last year. You won the conference. Yeah. So, and then obviously recruiting's happening right now and everyone's overreacting or underreacting, whatever they're doing with recruiting. But like, what is it like to be an Oregon fan right now?
Hi, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and turn on those notification bells. And if you're filling up to it, don't forget to leave me a comment in the comment section below.
It's super exciting. I think entering a new conference was really exciting in terms of playing opponents that we don't historically play and getting to experience new fan bases and new game environments. Yeah. All of that was incredibly exciting, as well as kind of what comes with being in a new conference. We could argue that the Big Ten was better respected compared to the Pac-12 when Oregon was in the Pac-12. Yep. So I think that was a really exciting component of moving to a new conference. And then Oregon had such a dominant year in their new conference last season that, of course, it was super fun and super exciting to kind of just walk in and be able to dominate in the fashion that we did. Obviously, it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but I think a lot of that momentum is carried on into year 2 of being in the conference, and we're really excited to experience new things once again, like playing Penn State at Penn State for their whiteout game, and those opponents that you don't necessarily really think of, maybe like Iowa, but that's not to say that you should ignore them, but it's all of these teams that you wouldn't otherwise think about back in the Pac-12.
I love that. You know what's actually funny? I just thought about this. You guys are very similar to Texas in that regard. And like, we both entered in new conferences. We both did very well in the conferences. And even through the series, I'm learning just like the new fandoms and the new, people I didn't even know were rivals are telling me they're rivals. And I'm like, okay, though that's a thing. Okay. So it's like, you're learning like different fan bases and whose Twitters are loud and whose aren't. And
you're absolutely interacting with new fan bases, which can be super fun or it can be really like off-putting. You're like, well, I didn't know that fan base was like that. So I think that's actually a really fun component of it, even the bad stuff. I think that's a really fun component of it, is being able to engage just with college football fans in general, because they definitely make the sport both exciting and interesting.
I love that. So what are your expectations this year? Like, as you were getting ready, year 2, new quarterback. Like, what are some things that you are expecting this year as you head into the season?
I think for me personally, and probably for most Oregon fans, is where we are expecting, again, that momentum from year one to kind of carry on into year two, despite the bodies that we did lose. I know we're really excited for Dante Moore at quarterback. I think we're all are pretty optimistic based on what we have seen and heard, and really kind of just continuing that dominant fashion. I have a hard time saying undefeated. I don't think I ever said undefeated once last season, even though we went undefeated. I'm like, no, I'm going to jinx it. So I have a really hard time saying undefeated, especially when you look at our schedule. Like, there could be some trickiness down the line, but definitely successful enough to where we make it to the postseason once again, and hopeful enough to where we get wins at Penn State in a tough environment. And of course, we always want to beat UW. So this year it's in Seattle. So that is kind of the expectation for sure, is to go up there and get the win.
Okay. Are you one of those fans that likes it when your team like kind of loses a game because you're like, okay, now we can learn from that, we can get better? Are you one of those fans that like likes being undefeated heading into the playoffs?
It depends what day it is. So
Fair.
some days so the makeup of the college football playoff last year, no, not a fan. I would have rather not won the conference at all, because I feel like that bye week was such a killer.
Yeah, and you guys got like the worst schedule it for being the best team there. Yeah.
Exactly. So didn't love it for that. I can see in some ways how losing, again, it's an opportunity to learn, and it might serve you better down the line with just how the playoffs are structured, or at least were structured. I know it's different this year, with like the top seeds being the ones that get the buys, but I can understand how losing has its benefits, and you learn from it. You can kind of regroup, maybe take a breather before continuously following this like maybe unsaid goal of being undefeated, and then the pressure kind of collapsing all around you. So I think there's pros and cons to both, honestly. Obviously, for trash talk purposes, going undefeated is super fun, and it's super cool to see everyone else melt down about it. But I do see how, in terms of like college football playoffs and just how the season comes to be towards the end, and it's a long season now.
It's super long.
It is. It's long. So just how it comes to be towards the end, how maybe losing one game isn't necessarily the end of the world.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I'm just going to say this about myself. Like, I always gravitate towards women who like football, who like to talk trash, who like to
it's super fun.
Funny. It's so funny though too, because like we just met each other like a week ago, and I'm like, hey, randomly, and it's just always funny to me that I always come across like the same type of woman, and we're like confident, we want to talk trash, we want to be there. I just love that. So I love that. So
it's super fun, and it's almost like therapeutic in a way. So I feel like for a long time, I probably played it too safe. And then last season, I really had a lot of fun with it, because I started collecting bookmarks in like January 2024.
Oh, and good job.
Every single week, I pulled them out throughout like every game that Oregon won. I was like pulling them out and calling people out. And it was incredibly fun and therapeutic. And it didn't ever turn into anything like horribly hostile or tense, but it was still fun.
I love that for you. That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. I always say, like, I wish I had enough time to be more petty on Twitter, just because like I think people think that like women hold things in, and it's like, no, we can talk trash too. Like, we honestly probably care less than the guys. Like, like take like they're talking about it Wednesday, Thursday. We've already moved on to the next team. So it's like we're ready to go.
It's so true. And you always know that you won the argument when the guys start attacking like your looks or something.
Yeah.
Like, they have like nothing more to give.
Like, what kind of PhD do you even have anyway? And you're like, is that like an insult?
Right.
So I love
biggest
that.
thing is the last thing in my bio is cultivate kindness. It's been something that's been a part of my bios all the time. But the second I mean, and an opposing fan base says that, they always call me out for it. And it's so funny, because it's like, I can't really argue with that. But like, this is trash talk. This is like I can be kind, but like I'm gonna have fun with it sometimes. But that is something that people call me out for a lot.
I love that. I just love that. What are the strengths of this Oregon team? I think I'll be honest. I'm in Texas, and so I hear so many different things about so many
Yeah.
different teams. Oregon is not a team I hear a lot about, just
Yeah.
being in Texas, because I feel like just regionally I don't.
Yeah.
But what are you thinking? Like, what are some strengths of this team that you really love? That you're like, okay, if all else fails, I know this group, they will be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to go with like the elite front seven and
Mm,
pass rush. So like we have Mateo Uyangalele, and despite losing bodies such as like Jordan Birch and Derek Harmon, I
we drafted
definitely
him,
think
yeah.
this, yeah, yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
definitely think this is a group that will be dependable
Okay.
and something that we can view as a strength for this season. And it'll be exciting to kind of see that cohesion and kind of see how
Yeah.
they come together through that dominance.
I love it. And then what about an area of concern or weakness that you're kind of thinking about where you're like, uh-oh?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we're at the uh-oh level yet.
Okay.
There's some question marks, like
Fair.
we do have a quarterback that we have not seen a whole lot of. And we're coming off of seasons with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. And so it's going to be a little bit of a shift when you compare that just to veteran quarterbacks who have played for other universities
Yeah.
before. To like they played like full seasons at other universities. And so I think there's a question mark there. Like I said, there is a lot of optimism and positivity around Dante Moore. So it hasn't necessarily been something I'm fully worried about.
That's
It's
good.
just like that. Oh, I'm anxious to see like how he looks on the field and like how
Yeah.
he is in high pressure moments and how he is with his teammates. So it's like this excited and enthusiastic question mark, I would say. And then kind of another question mark is the wide receiver depth. So losing Evan Stewart is obviously a
I saw
huge,
that.
yeah, it's always hard when you lose such a key player to injury before the season and during
Mhm.
the season. So that is a huge bummer. I'm super excited for Jacorian Moore. So kind
Mm.
of seeing how he flourishes in his first year at Oregon, surrounded by like Gary Bryant Jr. and Justice Lowe. So again, a question mark
Yeah.
that could turn into a weakness, but there is a lot of optimism and positivity around that.
I love that. It's the more you talk, the more I'm like, Texas and Oregon are so similar. Like there's
Yeah,
a lot
I
of us that
mean,
are
I
very
can see that. Once you made the
similar.
conference, comparison,
Yeah.
it is interesting how
It's
there are a lot of similarities there. Yeah,
Yeah, because last year we lost CJ Baxter,
that's right.
like before the season started.
Yeah.
We have a new quarterback this year. Like our wide, like it's like it's kind of
This
funny
is
how we're
true.
very similar
Yeah,
with
this
each
is true.
other. So I love that. So when you look at your schedule, like what is a game that you look forward to the most and why?
So this season, I'm gonna have to go with Penn State just because I think experiencing that environment, it's a whiteout game,
Yeah.
going across the country, which was that big conversation that people had when they talked about Oregon joining the conference and all the
Mhm.
Pac-12 teams joining the conference. So I think experiencing that game, I'm looking forward to just to see how Oregon does. And again, kind of just to say you've experienced it. It's always on that
Yes.
college football bucket list. So even if the team is traveling there and they win or they lose, I think that experience is something to kind of like look forward to. And then UW in Seattle, because the
Okay.
last time we were in Seattle we didn't win, so it's like I think
Yeah.
fire within us where we're like, oh, I want to go to Seattle and win.
Was that when Penix was there?
Yes,
The
yes.
last year of the Pac-12?
Last year, yeah, so it was the
Okay.
last year of Bo Nix and Penix.
Got it.
So yeah,
Okay. Is there a game on the schedule that you feel like feels like a trap game that you're like, why I do not like this game right here in this moment at this time of the season?
so those are always November games for me. I hate
Okay.
November games just historically. I have a lot of heartbreak with Oregon in November. And it's funny, last season it was Wisconsin. I was like, yikes, we're going to Wisconsin. That feels like a trap game. And it was actually relatively challenging for Oregon, even though they won. And
Yeah.
so this season, I'm going to have to go with Iowa. It's like that mid-November game where there are some question marks with that team. I keep
Mhm.
reading things about their quarterback who's not getting enough attention and how people should be paying attention to him. And because he's a transfer going from FBS to Iowa.
Right.
So I think that's kind of like my my trap game right now in terms of like, ooh, Oregon has to go to Iowa in November and beat them. So that's my Wisconsin for the season, is Iowa.
Okay. I love that. That makes total sense. If your team won one game against a rival this year, what one game does it have to be?
Yeah, so this is tough because we also play the Beavers this season. So having to choose between the Beavers and the Huskies is difficult in terms of like Oregon Ducks rivals. But I am going to have to go with the Huskies just because I view the Huskies as more of Oregon's rival. And because of that, I think it's important to obviously beat them in any sport all the time, all year round. So I'm going to have to say if I had to choose one, it would be to beat Washington in Seattle.
I love that. And it makes sense. I feel like, yeah, I could totally see that. Some teams you're just like, I don't want to lose to them in anything. I don't care if we're drawing quarters. I don't want to lose. Yeah. So I understand that completely.
If we've had a lot with like Oklahoma fans, right? Like that's,
there's always a question between like, who would you rather lose to, Oklahoma or Texas A&M?
I was going to say, yeah, Texas A&M.
And this is going to sound really bad. Like I'm going to get reamed for this. It is what it is. I don't think about them. I don't think about Texas A&M, and I don't think about Oklahoma. And I think it's because like I want better for Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, like we're trying to elevate, and we're trying to be like, when people talk about Texas football, I want them to talk about us like in the same conversation as like the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Ohio States. So I don't have time to be worried about like Texas A&M and Oklahoma, respectfully. Just respectfully.
I totally get that. I think if Ohio State was on the schedule this season, my answers would be different. I'd be like, no, I want to be Ohio State.
Right. So like,
but yeah,
So when people ask me, like, if I answer that question, I would be like, I'm worried about Ohio State and I'm worried about Georgia. Cause like, I just don't think about Oklahoma and Texas. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I get it. They're rivals. We have recruiting battles with them, all the things, but I also am just kind of like, I want us to be so like, oh, we're playing them. Okay, cool. We need to get ready for them, and like, that's where I want us to be. So maybe it's wishful thinking. And I'm sure A&M fans and Oklahoma fans will hate that I said that, but I just don't really think about them that much.
I do have to say, I love the banter I see between Texas and A&M fans on Twitter. It's always super entertaining.
It is. And it's always like, and when it's coming to an end, when an A&M fan talks about money or when a Texas fan says, you guys haven't won anything ever. Like, why do we argue with you?
Right. It's very entertaining content. So I appreciate that rivalry.
I love that. If you could add one current football player to your team, who would it be? And it could be from any team at all.
So I had a little difficulty with this. There were a few players kind of going around in my brain. The first one to come, which I hate to say this because it's an Ohio State player, but is Jeremiah Smith. Like when I hear this question, that's the first player that comes to mind just because of, his dominance in the position. And then Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle from Alabama.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. I love a woman that says offensive line. Oh my gosh. Yes.
You can't beat that size. So I know I said only one, but I'm going to cheat a little bit too.
You're allowed to cheat I love that. Like, yes. Tell me that. Oh gosh, that just made my heart just be so happy because I think so many times we get so obsessed with like the skill players and certain things. And I'm like, well, what about like the tackles and the like defensive linemen, the edge, like anyways. So I love that. I love that. And I am actually going to give you a chance to talk trash a little bit because I saw something on Twitter today. So we're going to talk about, it's about Colorado. So just get your best trash talk ready.
Colorado does not like me.
I know. And I know. And I cheer for Colorado and all the things. However, I always tell people I'm a reasonable fan. And so like, if you want to argue with the big dogs, go do that. But
let's talk Colorado.
So, and then my last question is as far as for Oregon is like, what should we know heading into 2025? Like, what is something that you kind of think about? Maybe like you said with the Iowa player that people aren't talking about when it comes to Oregon. Like, is there anything that you're thinking about that you don't hear people often talk about?
Well, I definitely hear people So I'm just going to contradict people. So because I definitely hear people talking about Dante Moore not showing up to the plate and doing what he has to do to lead this team to success. And I don't think Oregon is going to experience much of a fall off in terms of comparing it to last season. So it's kind of that, like there are so many narratives around like this quarterback we haven't seen a lot of. And I think that one thing that I think about that people should know is like, that's not like where we should spend so much attention, because I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I don't think the fall off is going to be tremendous, knock on wood. And I don't know if we're going to go undefeated, but we're going to make it to the postseason. And I think Dante Moore is going to do some incredible things this season.
I love that. So let's get to it. So what is the issue with Colorado fans? Like, is it just because, are they like still holding on to like when Oregon embarrassed them like 2 years ago? I said them, like I don't cheer for them, but like, what's the issue?
That's a great question. It's almost as if Deion Sanders was hired and they started acting as if that was success in its own, which that was a great hire. That was awesome. I loved that hire. I said it day one, loved the hire. I thought that would be great for the conference that's no longer together, but I thought it would be great for the conference. And it was just like the narratives that instantly formed and the interactions that you would have with Colorado fans after that hire that just they get escalated very quickly. Yeah. So I know in my personal experience, any time that I've talked about them has been mostly objectively. Like I've never really shared like some far out ideas or opinions on them. Yeah. And it's just, they really come to defend their team and their coach and their players, which I got to hand it to them. I appreciate that dedication and I can respect it. It's just like a lot of the times it gets slightly delusional. And so a lot of the times that game comes up, that 2023 game. Yeah. 2023 game when Colorado came to Autzen. And I think the way Colorado players were showcased in terms of like disrespecting the stadium and the things they said probably didn't sit well with the team nor the fans. So it's kind of just like created this tension.
I see.
And I feel like, and I'm not saying I totally agree with all of it. I feel like a lot of it has been like Colorado versus the world since they hired Deion.
It has.
So many fan bases have been very anti-Colorado and Deion. And I'm not saying all of that is completely fair, but there are some delusions that go hand in hand with their fans that, again, make very entertaining content. And I think it's super fun and it can be super funny. Sometimes I'm just like, wow, I don't really know where that came from. I don't really understand why Colorado fans are still on the timeline to this day talking about how they want to play Oregon again. And
I don't know why either. Like, listen, I cheer for Colorado. Like I'm a fan of theirs. You know, I make content about them. Like I'm a fan. I'm also like I also understand what I'm looking at. And so every time I hear a Colorado fan say like they want to play Oregon, I'm like, why? Like, why would you want to do that? So I mean, but same thing happens for me. Like last year, people were saying like Colorado could compete with Texas. So my point is like I get it too, differently, but it's the same thing. And I'm just like, I think we live in a world where people don't realize that like your team doesn't have to be the best team. Your team can be getting better, and that's good. Like that's the goal. And I don't understand why it has to be like, let us play Oregon right now, we'll beat them. Because I'm like, you won't.
I know.
Like
it's so funny. It's like when people make those arguments of like the best team in college football could beat the worst team in the NFL.
No.
And I know. I'm always just like, no, I don't know. No, you don't want that. Like you do not want that.
Yeah.
Like,
it's these extremes.
Yes, so extreme.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I saw something. I think it was today or it was yesterday. I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sure. It's a holiday at this point, so I'm not sure what day is what day. But I think I saw either you screenshotted the score, or somebody screenshotted the score or something. And I was like, oh, here it comes. Like, I already know where this thread is going.
Yeah. So, I did that yesterday because I tweeted a Colorado fan who said they wanted to play Oregon again. Like they wanted Dan Lanning to put it on the schedule. And so I try to not talk about Colorado very much because Colorado fans throw it back in my face that I talk about them too much, which isn't true. But I was like, oh, it's been a few months since I've talked about Colorado. I feel like I'm due. So that's the only reason I quote tweeted it.
My alarm went off. It's time to talk about Colorado.
I think it's time for them to remember that they don't like me. So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So one other question, and I didn't prepare you for this, but I think you'll be able to answer it, is people always ask me as a woman, like, why football? Like, why do you love football so much? Why do you like talking about football? Why do you engage with football stuff? Why football?
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, like, what is it for you? Like, what about football for you is like, I love this. Like, I love this space. I love talking about it. I like engaging with it. Like, what about football does it for you?
I think internally it goes back to like core memories of like bonding with people over talking about football, because that was huge growing up. Not just family, but I can remember being like in middle school talking about football with friends and like Super Bowl predictions and hearing them cry about their teams. And it was like, yeah, it was those memories, and it was like those experiences that helped me form bonds with people that ended up being friends, to this day. And so I kind of use it oftentimes as like, small talk, or when I'm trying to form that bond with somebody, as I get them talking about sports. And if they can talk about football, that's even better. But it really is interesting how sports kind of has this magic about it in terms of like people really open up and they're willing to kind of loosen up a bit and really get talking to you when you mention their favorite team or when you ask them a question about a particular sport that they love. And so I think it kind of is all intertwined in terms of like forming bonds with people that I've had for years, and like, very early friendships, and of course, family members. And then, family members who eventually pass, like you have those memories of like, oh, we sat here talking about this game. We went together and celebrated this win. And so it all becomes even more magical. So I think that's like a really big reason for me is it kind of just started with football at a young age, and that's kind of what became my thing. But I love how people just talk about the teams that they love and how to open up. Yeah, it's like, it's amazing, because if you can be mindful enough to be present in that moment, to not necessarily pay attention to what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
And how they describe things. And like,
it's incredible. So I think that's something that like people who aren't sports fans, they're like, why? Like, I'm just not into sports. I'm like, I think this has a particular magic to it that even non-sports fans can appreciate. So yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. I said before this, like, anytime I get to talk to a woman about football, sign me up. Like, yes, and yes. So I'm super excited that we decided to do this. I'm super excited you said yes, and that you were here to talk to me about Oregon, which I feel like I wasn't sure who I was going to ask, honestly. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I think I know like two people ever in my life that have said that they are cheering for Oregon, and that I don't even know where those people are at this point in life. So thank you for just like coming and speaking to me and like being willing to chat with me. Like, I appreciate it. I always end on my guest, so I will end on whatever it is that you want to say or whatever it is that you want to share. You can ask me any questions you want to have. I need to do a better job at saying that. Somebody gave me that feedback once, and I was like, you're absolutely correct. So if you have any questions for me, I'll answer them. You do not have to ask me anything, just providing the space. And then, I do want to know how the environment is, though, being in Oregon Stadium, because it seems kind of cool. And there's a song that plays in the fourth. Is it the fourth quarter or the third quarter?
End of the third quarter. Yeah.
End of the third quarter. Okay. Is it as fun as it looks on TV?
Oh, yeah. It's so much fun. And I know I'm biased, but it is so much fun. When you're around people who love the same thing that you love and you're dancing and listening to a song that's become like imprinted on you, it's pretty fun. Yeah, for sure. We actually did have questions with you being
ask whatever you want.
And kind of making that comparison of Oregon to Texas. What I kind of want to know, like, what are your expectations for this season, since it's your second year in the SEC?
Yeah, so I'm expecting, my biggest fear entering the SEC was how Texas was going to take care of their bodies and be prepared to play every week. And I was worried just about our depth of competition, because I'm like, we're in the Big 12. It wasn't like this. So now that I've kind of seen that, I feel like we've gotten that figured out. I'm excited to see Arch be Arch, whatever that means. Like, I'm on the roller coaster. So if he comes out game one and he's phenomenal and then he kind of tells off and then he gets better, like I'm here for that. I want to see what his normal is going to be, because right now I don't have any expectations. I honestly don't. I expect game one against Ohio State, I expect him to look amazing in some moments. And then some moments I expect to be sitting at home going, did he just throw into triple coverage and Caleb Downs was there? Like, so I'm expecting those moments. And I'm kind of looking forward to those moments because Texas was bad for so long that for me, this is fun. And so I'm expecting a little bit of up and down. I'm expecting us to be in the playoffs. I'm expecting us to be better than we were last year. And I know I say that and people freak out, but like, I honestly believe our defense might be one of the best defenses in college football, but no one's ever going to talk about them because we have Arch.
Yeah.
So it's like no one's even mentioning them. They're just like, yeah, Arch Manning's gonna win the Heisman. I'm not even on that train, but everyone's talking about it. And I'm like, okay, so no one's gonna talk about like our defense at all, ever. And then all the list comes out, and it's like Texas, this defense, this linebacker, this edge rusher, this secondary. And I'm just like, nope, but no one's talking about our defense. So I'm super excited to see, does that change? Or am I crazy? Like, is our defense not as good as I think it's going to be because no one's talking about it? So I'm just excited to see if it actually becomes the defensive show that Arch leads as opposed to the Arch Manning show and the defense becomes secondary. So I'm curious to see like what the story really is.
No, I love that. I think that's great. And that's super fascinating. I'm going to have to keep my eye on that as we get into the season even more. I'm going to remember this conversation. Yeah.
No one talks about it. I mean, and it's like everybody knows like Colin Simmons. Everybody knows Anthony Hill Jr. And I ask people, if you stop, a lot of people know Michael Tapp. Like, and I tell people, if you can name people on my defense and you can't name anybody on anybody else's defense, what does that tell
you? Right. Yeah. Exactly. What does that tell you?
So yeah. Like people were DMing me. They're like, Colin Simmons is changing his number. And I'm like, why do you care? Like, you're not even cheering for us. But my point is like, again, this is college football. Most of the time people don't know the defensive guys in college football. They just don't. Yeah. So we'll see.
Well,
what else you got for me?
Awesome. I mean, that was my question because that comparison to Oregon made me think of it.
And very similar.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited to see how both teams do. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on that defense because I love a good I like strong defenses on teams. I think that's what makes it so much fun. And
cool.
Like you said, with skill players, like quarterbacks will get a lot of attention. They'll get a lot of headlines, everything. But it'll be interesting to see kind of like what comes up as the season kicks off and you guys get more into it.
Yeah. Our coaches are very similar too, as far as like people that talk about Dan Lanning, like not winning the big game and not like people do that to Sark too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's kind of so funny. It's kind of funny the more I think about it. And didn't Dan Lanning come from Georgia?
He did. He was the
so it's kind of okay. So it's literally like the same thing, basically.
I know. So, that's true. Lots of similarities for sure. But no, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I will talk. Listen, open invitation. If something is happening or whatever, like we'll figure it out. Even if we just come together to talk football and annoy everyone that says how dare them get together and talk about football.
Yeah, that is totally fine with me. This has been so much fun.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. And I did say before this ends, I'll put all your information in the description. So we'll tag your Twitter. We'll do all the stuff and whatever else you want me to put in there so that people can like find you and be a part of your amazing Twitter-ness. That's just word I just created. So anyways, all right. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.